Good early afternoon, everyone. It is Tuesday, May 21st, just a couple minutes before 12:30 early here this afternoon, and welcome into the early portion of today's video weather discussion. Now, you might have noticed over the past couple of days, we really haven't had much in the way of video weather discussions, and that is because we've been dealing with a couple of technical difficulties on our end with the streaming software, but we've got it worked out. So here we are back again with our video discussion, so that is some good news there. And it is much needed because we have some severe weather chances. We've seen some severe weather across portions of the state yesterday. We ended up seeing a couple of severe thunderstorms yesterday afternoon and evening in northeastern and eastern Illinois that brought some hail and some damaging winds to parts of the Chicago area, down through eastern Illinois, down through sort of Kankakee, Ford County areas. There was some wind damage and some hail down there as well from yesterday. And going forward, we're going to continue to see the threat for severe weather, and that's really going to increase today across the state, and then we could even see some severe thunderstorm potential across portions of the state, southern Illinois, as we head into Wednesday. And it is very possible we could even see some minor additional severe thunderstorm chances coming up as we head even later into the weekend as well. So getting things started here this morning, as you can see here on the screen right now, I do have a wide view of the current satellite here live here the middle of the day today here of the across the central United States, and you can see that big spin going on here across the central United States. That is a storm system that's really getting going here across the center of the United States here. You can see this big spin here. That's our storm system here. We have our area of low pressure here early today approaching the Omaha area now. That's kind of where the area of low pressure is. We're going to have a trailing frontal boundary that's going to quickly move off to the east as well. And what's going to happen is this low pressure is essentially going to take a track kind of northward like this. And as it does so, this cold front is going to sweep off towards the east along with that low pressure. So what we're seeing happen right now is you can see these puffier clouds here. Those are severe thunderstorms that have now developed across eastern Nebraska. And what's going to happen as we go through the day today, and I'll actually show you this on one of the weather forecast models, but this whole area is going to fill in with severe thunderstorms through the day today. And then this activity, once it develops, is going to quickly move off to the northeast and the east through the day today. Now, in the meantime, right now, it's actually a very nice day across the state here early this afternoon. Temperatures are well into the 80s for most areas across the state here at this midday hour. And we could see many areas approach 90 degrees today. So, for example, if you're in the Chicago area, you might flirt with your first 90-degree day of the year today. So it's a very nice, warm day across the state. A lot of mixed sun and clouds across the state. But that'll change as we head later into today, and I'm going to show you that right here. So this is one of the weather forecast models, and it's doing an okay job of showing what's going on right now. And as I mentioned, there are some severe thunderstorms that have developed out across eastern Nebraska. This particular model is showing that activity. And watch what happens as we go through the next couple of hours here. Notice how that activity that started out here in eastern Nebraska has quickly moved northeastward up into southern Minnesota, northern Iowa. Another thing you might notice here is we start to get activity developing and filling in along that cold front here from the Des Moines region down through northern and central Missouri as well along that cold front. That's as we get to around, this is right around mid to late afternoon. This is 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, this image that I'm showing you here. And then as we head into the evening here, you can see that activity, a big arc of severe thunderstorm activity racing off to the northeast and to the east here across southern Minnesota, now moving into southwestern Wisconsin, eastern Iowa, moving into the Quad Cities area this evening, a severe weather threat. Also working down towards the Quincy area. You can see this activity moving in with a severe weather threat. So once we get into the time frame of probably 5, 6, 7 o'clock this evening, that's when that activity is really going to move into far western and northwestern Illinois, from Dubuque down through the Quad Cities, down through the Quincy area. And then as we continue into tonight, early tonight, jumping ahead, this is right around 9 o'clock tonight. This is right around 9 o'clock tonight. You can see this big arc of severe thunderstorms continues to move quickly off to the northeast and the east here. So this is right around 9 o'clock tonight. You can see the Rockford area, the I-39 corridor, back down to getting close to the St. Louis area by 8, 9, 10 o'clock tonight. That's where that severe thunderstorm activity could be at that time. And then as we move deeper into tonight, you're going to notice two things. The line of storms continues to move off towards the east, but you'll notice that on the simulated radar here, it looks weaker because we are expecting, as this activity moves deeper, further to the east here and approaches the Indiana border, so northeastern, eastern, southern Illinois, this activity will be in a weakening phase for you folks. So the Chicago area, northeastern Illinois, down through eastern Illinois and southern Illinois. If you're in this corridor here, this activity may very well be in a weakening phase as it reaches your areas more in the 9, 10, 11, maybe midnight time frame out across this corridor here. So without a doubt, it looks like the best chance for some quality severe weather today is going to be out here across northwestern, west central Illinois. That's going to be the best chance and the most widespread severe weather potential. As we come further east here, like I said, parts of southeastern, up into eastern, northeastern Illinois, the activity should be in a weakening trend as we head into later tonight. And the reason being that we could see that activity weaken as it moves further east towards the Indiana border is instability will be waning, decreasing a little bit further to the east. Also, we're going to see with the warmer temperatures today, dew points may be a little bit lower out across this corridor compared to areas further west out there. So that's another thing we're going to be watching for. So there's a couple of factors that do tend to agree with the fact what I'm showing you here with this particular weather model is once this activity moves further to the east, it may be in a weakening trend. Now, as we move further into time here, as we get into very early Wednesday morning, this activity will eventually clear the entire state. So this is right around 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning here. You can see we're clearing out across the state, and the threat comes to an end for tonight across the state. So with that said, let's first off take a look at the updated severe weather forecast. Now, like I said, I know we haven't been able to do these live video weather discussions the past couple of days, but hopefully you've been able to follow along with our forecasts on our social media pages, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and whatnot. So hopefully you've been able to follow along with some of our forecasts on our other pages while we haven't been able to go live. But with that said here, as you can see, we are dealing with some sort of severe weather risk across all of the state of Illinois. Now, the level of threat does differ depending on where you live across the state. So if you remember, a minute ago I mentioned that the best severe weather chance is going to be out here across western and northwestern Illinois, and you can see that right here on the map. Out there across northwestern and western Illinois, you're in that yellow shaded color, that level 3 severe thunderstorm risk. That's where we're expecting definitely to see some scattered severe thunderstorms occur out across that area. Another thing I mentioned a moment ago is as you move further east, the severe thunderstorm threat is supposed to wane or weaken a little bit as this activity moves off towards the east. So you'll notice out here for you folks in northeastern down into eastern and southern Illinois, your threat level ranges from that green or blue color, which is a level 1 to level 2 severe thunderstorm risk. So that's pretty much the gist of it as we go through the day today. The main time frame that we're going to be watching for the severe weather potential is going to be later later afternoon and into tonight. So once again, to reiterate, the main time frame that we're going to be watching for to get this severe weather activity is going to be generally from later this afternoon and into tonight as well. Now, it is possible if you're out here, if you are out here across portions of northwestern Illinois, you might get an isolated severe thunderstorm earlier in the afternoon as well, perhaps as early as mid to late afternoon. But for the rest of you folks, pretty much across the remainder of the state of Illinois, late afternoon into overnight tonight is going to be your severe weather risk. Now, in terms of what kind of threat we could be dealing with, we could see all modes of severe weather being possible today. That includes we could see damaging winds, we could see large hail, and we may even see a tornado threat as well. Now, if I had to pick an area where the best chance of maybe seeing a few tornadoes would be, it would be definitely out here across this level 3 risk area. That is probably your best chance of maybe seeing the potential for a few tornadoes today. Outside of that area, more so along the lines of an isolated tornado threat. Now, another thing you might notice here is this area right here. These little dashed lines all over the place here. If you go down to the bottom of the screen here, you'll notice that is called hatching. And that is where we could see significant severe weather in that corridor with those little dashed lines. It's called hatching. So within this corridor here of this hatching, that is where we could see some instances of significant severe weather. And what I mean by that is significant severe weather. It would be damaging winds over 75 miles per hour, maybe some corridors of widespread or significant damage of wind, from wind, large hail of 2 inches or greater in diameter. So without a doubt here, as you can see, with the higher level of severe weather threat here and this hatching that we have out here across northwestern and western Illinois, it's pretty clear that the best severe weather chance is going to be out there today. So once again, if you're in northwestern, west central Illinois, that is where the best chance of severe weather will be today. Once again, as this activity moves off towards the east, towards the Chicago area, towards eastern Illinois, towards southern Illinois, it will be weakening with time, which is why the threat is lower as you head out across this corridor compared to what it is out here across northwestern and western Illinois. Now, as we go beyond Tuesday, we're also going to be having a severe weather threat as we head into Wednesday as well. So what's going to happen on Wednesday is we're going to see this lingering frontal boundary in place. The cold front's going to slide through. It's going to kind of be lingering down here to the south across southern Illinois. And it does look like we could have a couple of rounds of isolated to scattered showers and thunderstorms on Wednesday and into Wednesday night. And it is possible we could see a couple of isolated severe thunderstorms as well down there across southern Illinois, and that would be for Wednesday. So as we switch over to the severe weather forecast for Wednesday into Wednesday night, you can see exactly what I just mentioned here. With that frontal boundary sagging southward across the state, we could see a couple of rounds of scattered showers and thunderstorms across southern Illinois Wednesday into Wednesday night, and it is possible we could have an isolated severe weather threat with some of that activity, maybe a little bit of hail or some damaging winds, with some isolated severe weather potential for Wednesday and into Wednesday night. But obviously, today is Tuesday, and Tuesday has the greater chance of severe weather at this point in time. So let's get to some of those comments and questions in the video chat here. Deborah checking in from Lost Ant, that's up there, LaSalle County area. Yep, you have a chance for some severe weather today. We have you in a level 2 risk out across your area. Mr. Davis checking in from the Bloomington area. We have you in a level 2 risk as well. We'll have to see how quickly the storms are weakening as they come through your area, but for now we have you in a level 2 risk area. Lisa checking in from the Aurora area. That's the southwestern suburbs of the Chicago area. Yes, we have you in a level 2 risk area as well. Once again, for the Chicago area, your severe weather threat is really going to be dictated by how quickly the storms are weakening as they move through. So that's going to be something to watch once they develop and start moving in. Mary checking in from down in Pike County. Yep, we have you in a pretty good severe weather threat as well. Down there around the level 2 to level 3 severe thunderstorm risk. Definitely expect to see some severe weather in your neck of the woods. Angela checking in from Freeport. That's up there in northwestern Illinois. We have you in a level 3 risk for severe weather. So you're in the corridor of potentially seeing a better chance of severe weather out there across northwestern Illinois. See Jean checking in from Frankfurt. Juan checking in from the Chicago area. Lisa from Shorewood. Yes, all of you folks in the Chicago area tuning in, you are under a level 2 severe thunderstorm risk. That means we could see some widely scattered severe thunderstorms in the Chicago metro area. But once again, if you're in that Chicago area, it's going to depend on how quickly this activity is going to be weakening as it moves in tonight. Right now, it looks like it will be in a weakening trend as it moves in, which is why we have, for example, like I said, this corridor out here. This corridor is in a lower risk compared to areas just to the west where that more increased risk of severe weather is. Sandy checking in from Rockford. Yep, we have you in a level 2 risk, level 3 risk just to your west. We have Frappy checking in from Peoria. Yep, we have you right on the border of that level 2, level 3 severe weather risk, so we could see that being an issue as well for your corridor. Timothy checking in from the Wisconsin state line. National Weather Service saying the risk could be worse near the Wisconsin state line, excuse me. Really, at this point in time, northwest and west is really where it's looking to be worse at this point in time. Fred checking in from Joliet. We also have Fran checking in from Huntley area. Yep, all of you folks, like I said, in the Chicago metro area, we have you in a widely scattered severe thunderstorm risk, which is that green shaded color, that level 2 severe weather risk. Thomas wondering how high the winds will be. That's not really something we could tell you ahead of time. When the thunderstorms develop, they will produce whatever winds they deem that they want to. We could say that there could be some high damaging winds and high winds with the severe thunderstorms today, but you really can't put a limit, either minimum or high, on what a thunderstorm is going to do in terms of winds and hail. Or tornadoes for that fact. Thunderstorms have minds of their own. They will do what they please. So that's why we just generally say damaging winds, large hail, tornadoes possible, because it's really hard to put, a minimum and a maximum on how big or small the hail will be. Usually hail's a little bit easier. It is easier to put a minimum and maximum on hail. But damaging winds, it is a little bit harder. And tornadoes as well could be, tricky sometimes as well. Storms do what they want to do. That's how it works with the weather. No one controls it, even if some of the conspiracy theory folks out there think that that's what happens. But no one around here controls the weather. The storms do what they want, and they will produce what they want around here as well. Justin checking in from out in the Des Moines area. That's central Iowa, mentioning you got some pretty good storms this morning, and you have more coming this afternoon. Justin tuning in from the Des Moines area. Be on the lookout this afternoon. You have a pretty significant risk for all modes of severe weather out there across central Iowa. Chevish checking in from Hardin County. Yes, you could see a severe weather threat down there in southern Illinois. That'll be more so as we head late evening and into overnight tonight. Amy checking in from the Springfield area. Your threat will be this evening into tonight as well. All right, carrying on here, a couple more comments and questions. We have Becky checking in from Bartonville. That's down there in Peoria County. You're right there on that edge of that level 3, level 2 severe weather risk, so definitely keep an eye to the potential around your area. Jake checking in here, mentioning a comment. Despite it weakening when it arrives in Chicagoland, are the main hazards of isolated tornadoes and strong winds still expected? Yes. So even though the activity is going to be weakening as it moves further to the east, you're still going to be dealing with, isolated to widely scattered severe thunderstorms being possible, and they still will be possible of hail, damaging winds, and isolated tornadoes. The main focus, though, like I said, the gist of it is the biggest potential today is going to be out here across northwestern and west central Illinois, where all modes of severe weather will be possible. But once again, in this corridor where those storms will be weakening as they move through, you'll still be dealing with the possibility of, isolated to widely scattered severe thunderstorms, maybe some damaging winds, hail, isolated tornado threat with some of that activity as well. Jennifer checking in from northwestern Illinois, mentioning up the winds are picking up, wondering how high they'll get. So outside of the thunderstorms today, we will be seeing gusty winds, maybe 20, 30, 35, maybe 40 miles per hour today outside of the thunderstorms. There will be some gusty winds today. Now, inside of the storms, like I said, it's very hard to predict, the wind speeds that a thunderstorm is going to produce without it actually occurring right now. That's something we can't do and probably never will be able to be done for the most part. Jennifer wondering why some are saying EF 1 to 2 winds are possible. Like I said, damaging winds are really hard to forecast the actual wind speeds the storms are going to produce without the storm actually occurring to see it on radar. That's just not something that's able to be done. But today is a day that we could definitely see some corridors of widespread and more significant wind damage, just given the environmental conditions that are in place. Sammy, hoping this all zooms by quickly. These storms are going to be moving very quickly later today and tonight. So these are not going to be slow-moving storms. They're going to be moving fast. So that is some good news there. They'll be in and out of your area pretty quickly overall. Gage checking in from down in Taylorville. Yeah, you could have a severe weather threat down there in the Taylorville area as we head into later this evening and into tonight. We have Diane checking in the St. Charles area. Once again, do have that risk in the Chicago metro area as well, but that activity may be weakening with time as it moves off towards the east. We have Kelsey checking in from Ogle County. That's right up here, Ogle County. Yep, you're right on that border of that level 2, level 3 risk area. So your area on west, definitely a heightened severe weather risk out that way. Dustin checking in from the Springfield area. Yep, you'll be dealing with that severe weather risk around Springfield as well as we get into this evening and tonight. Mandy from Peoria. Angela from the Stevenson County area. Yep, both of you folks are kind of right on that border of that level 3 risk area here. So yes, pretty good severe weather risk. See, Brooklyn checking in here, mentioning why, or asking, why is everyone else saying DuPage County is in a level 3 risk? Well, the Storm Prediction Center has a level 3 risk across much of northeastern Illinois. Their level 3 risk is pretty big, and I could actually show you that on the screen here. Let me just pull it up here really quickly. So this is the Storm Prediction Center forecast right here, and it is pretty different than ours. So the Storm Prediction Center forecast has their level 3 risk through all of northern and much of central Illinois. That's that orange color right here. So the Storm Prediction Center has a level 3 risk across all of northern and all of central Illinois, whereas we have our level 3 risk only out across northwestern and western Illinois. Now, why is it different? Because we make our own forecasts here at ISC. We've done it pretty much since we've been around, and that's just how it is. We like to make our own forecasts. We're capable of doing it, and that's what we've done for years. So that is why our forecast is different than the National Weather Service or Storm Prediction Center, and that is because we, like I said, we issue our own forecasts. Now, yes, we have the same information that the National Weather Service and Storm Prediction Center does, but how we decipher it and what kind of confidence we have and what kind of scenario we think is going to play out based on that information in the weather models, that's how we come up with different forecasts. So the Storm Prediction Center has a higher severe weather risk out here across central and northeastern Illinois, whereas we have a lower risk because we believe the storms are going to weaken quicker as they move off towards the east. That's really the biggest difference in the forecast at this point in time. See Tony checking in from Knox County, Donald in Rushville. We also have Jody up in Stevenson County, Kelly out in Dixon, Cindy in Stark County. All of you folks are right out here where we're expecting the better chance of severe weather potential today. And once again, this is going to be very late this afternoon into this evening out across that corridor of western and northwestern Illinois as well. See a lot more folks tuning in from the Chicago metro area. We got Zendaya, we got Lindsay from Schaumburg, Orland Park as well, Angie from Woodridge. Yes, all of you folks, also Barbara up in Richmond, McHenry County. All of you folks, once again, in the Chicago area, you're under a level 2 risk, as you can see here on the screen. And what we're expecting is a line of severe thunderstorms to move in, but it will be weakening as it moves in. So there will be some severe weather threat, but that's why you see the level 3 severe thunderstorm risk out to the west, because that greater severe weather risk is going to be out across northwestern and western Illinois today. We have Long checking in from Princeton, Laura out in the Earlville area, John in the Earlville area as well. Yes, all of you folks under the gun for a pretty good severe weather threat all across those areas that I just mentioned as well out there. Once again, late afternoon into this evening and early tonight. Leanne checking in from Mount Vernon. You're in an RV. That's down here across southern Illinois. You will have a severe weather risk as we head later into this evening and into early tonight as well. Chris checking in from out in the Quad Cities area. Yeah, you're pretty much in the heart of the threat out there from pretty much this afternoon through this evening as you're going to be your threat out there. Could be a pretty decent threat, obviously, out there with a level 3 severe thunderstorm risk, all modes of severe weather possible out there across the Quad Cities area. I see Aaron checking in here from the Moline area out in Quad City as well. Stephanie wondering if there's anything we could look at during the day here for the Chicago area that'll indicate how fast the storms will weaken later. Things that we're going to be monitoring are how much do the dew points mix out. So dew points are going to be elevated, but as we go through the day today with those really warm temperatures coming about, we could see the dew points mix down or lower a little bit. So that's going to be something we're going to be watching here out further east that could lead to those storms weakening as they move off towards the east. Another thing is, how does instability work out? Is instability going to wane as things go further to the east? Those are two things we're expecting to happen right now, and we're going to continue to watch that, and those are two factors that will dictate also how quickly those storms will weaken as they move off towards the east. All right, here, I see a lot of questions asking for specific cities. For the specific city questions for now going forward, I'm just going to refer you to the map because the map does a pretty good job of telling you what you should expect here. Depending on what risk level you're in here, obviously the higher the risk you go, the greater your severe weather chance is going to be. Ashley wondering if we're going to see watches issued today, including for the Chicago area. Seems quite possible. Angela wondering how fast these storms are going to be moving. They're going to be moving very quickly today, 40, 50 miles per hour, maybe even over 50 mile per hour movement on the storms today. So they're going to be moving pretty quickly for today. Frankie wondering about the tornado threat for today. I do expect that there could be a few tornadoes out here across this higher risk corridor of western and northwestern Illinois. Outside of that corridor, probably more of an isolated tornado threat, but once again, in this corridor out here, that's probably the best chance of seeing maybe a few tornadoes being possible for today. Now, in terms of timing, once again, timing, if you're out here across this area, it's going to be this afternoon, more so later this afternoon into this evening across that area. If you're across the rest of the state here, this corridor, it's going to be more so as we move through the evening and into tonight as well. Brendan wondering if we could see a derecho out of this. We'll have to see exactly how the storms play out. There's actually a couple of different types of derechos. There's more that are associated with an MCS, or a small compact cluster of severe thunderstorms, pretty much a little complex of severe thunderstorms, sometimes called a bow echo. That's one form of a derecho that you could get. Another one is more of a QLCS. I believe it, if I remember correctly, I believe it's called a serial derecho, and that's more of a QLCS, longer, widespread derecho. So I wouldn't rule it out, but I wouldn't totally say it's a slam dunk for that sort of thing to happen today either. It depends on what mode the storms stay in. Are we going to see more supercells for a longer period of time? Are we going to start to see things break up into smaller QLCSs, a long QLCS? Are we going to see line segments? So we could see a mixed mode today, so it's really, I wouldn't directly say that we're for sure going to see a derecho type of situation for today, but I wouldn't rule it out either. David wondering if this has been an active spring regarding severe weather. Across the country, it has been. It has been extremely active severe weather-wise across the country over the past couple of months, and that includes here across the state of Illinois. We already have had, I believe, somewhere around 45, 46, something like that, tornadoes across the state of Illinois so far this year. So we're already well on our way to having an above-average tornado year across the state of Illinois. And yes, it has been a very active severe weather year across the country as a whole as well. We are actually running well above average in the number of tornadoes we would normally see at this point in time in the year. Jennifer wondering about bowing lines. Is that where rotation will be? So with those lines of thunderstorms, you could get, those are called QLCSs, you could get spin-ups in those line of thunderstorms as well. So when we're talking about tornado potential, it doesn't have to be from supercell thunderstorms. You could have tornadoes in those QLCS, those squall lines of thunderstorms as well. And that is potentially what we could see as well today. So just because you're not seeing those big supercell thunderstorms on radar today, there will be some of those. But we will also see these line segments, smaller QLCSs possible, and some of those could have spin-ups in them as well. So that's going to be something we're watching for. And once again, I do see a ton of you asking about your specific your specific towns and your specific cities. Once again, for all of those questions, I'm just going to refer you to the graphic on the screen. It'll tell you what risk level you're in. Obviously, as you go up higher in risk level, your severe weather coverage is going to increase as well. And then once again, for you folks out here across western, northwestern Illinois, where that hatching is, there could be some significant severe thunderstorms out that way. So the gist of it is western, northwestern Illinois, the best severe weather or the greatest severe weather chances today. And then as you head into northeastern, eastern, and southern Illinois, your severe weather threat will wane through the day. All right, here, Megan checking in from Decatur. You have a huge event with 250 people outside between 6:30 and 8:30. The good news is most of the severe weather should be, well, it'll be probably a little after that time, to be quite honest. Towards the end of that time, as you get towards the 8:30, 9, 10 o'clock time frame, that's where that activity may start to approach your area. Early on, 6, 6:30, 7, 7:30, 8, you'll be fine. But at the end of your time for your event, 8:30, 9, 10 o'clock, and just after, that's when that activity could start to move in with the severe weather potential. All right, here. Let's try to get to see if we have a couple more in-depth questions here. Once again, I know a ton of you folks. There are countless amounts of comments coming in right now regarding what to expect for your particular city. Once again, I refer you to our map here. It'll give you a good idea of what risk level you're in. Like I said, the higher you go in risk level, the more greater of coverage of the severe weather potential will be. And then also out here across northwestern and western Illinois, where this hatching is, those little dashed lines, that's called hatching, that's where the most significant of severe weather potential will be as well. All right, here. So once again, let's just go over a big summary here, and hopefully we could answer as many questions as possible with this big summary here. I'm actually running a little bit short on time myself here, so we'll have to wrap up this video here very shortly. But once again, in general, we do have a severe weather threat across the entire state of Illinois for today. Now, as you can see, we have a level 3 severe thunderstorm risk out across western and northwestern Illinois, including places like Dubuque down through the Quad Cities and the Quincy area. And then as we work to the east here, you'll notice the severe weather threat comes down to a level 2 and a level 3 risk. That is because as this activity moves from northwest to northeastern Illinois, from western to eastern Illinois, and across southern Illinois, this activity will weaken as it moves further off to the east. So there will still be a severe weather threat out here, but this activity will be in a weakening phase as it moves further off to the east. So without a doubt, as you can see here, it's pretty obvious on this map here, the biggest severe weather threat is going to be out here across much of northwestern and all of west central Illinois, and that is where we have a level 2 to level 3 severe thunderstorm risk in place out across those areas, and the hatching, or those little dotted lines, which signifies the potential for significant severe weather. Now, in terms of timing, if you're out here, your timing is going to be later this afternoon through much of this evening. Once again, later this afternoon through much of this evening out there. As we move further to the east, your threat out here is going to be much of this evening and into tonight out across this corridor. So that gives you an idea on some of the timing and some of the levels of severe weather threat for your particular areas. Now, in terms of what kind of threats, out here, definitely all modes of severe weather possible. All modes of severe weather possible out across these areas. There could be some significant severe weather. And then as we work out here further to the east, still could see all modes of severe weather, but definitely a better chance of damaging winds and hail, and more so just an isolated tornado threat. Definitely the best chance of a few tornadoes will be out there across northwestern and western Illinois as it looks at this point in time. So with that said, I'm going to have to go and wrap this up for now. A little bit short on time here, but thank you all for tuning in. We will be here all day and all night monitoring the severe weather situation for you all. We will bring you additional updates as needed through the day today and into tonight. And then we'll also be back again tonight for a full forecast update for what to expect for the remainder of the night, and also what to expect for that severe weather threat across southern Illinois for Wednesday. So with that said, that is all for now across the state. No matter where you live, today, tonight, keep an eye to the weather, especially for you folks out across northwestern and western Illinois. And like I said, we will be here to provide updates as needed on all of our pages as well. But for now, everyone have a great Tuesday.